Hello, Forrester here, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing some of my thoughts and observations on week 1 of Alterac Valley and how it's different from what I experienced 15 years ago, and my tips and suggestions for getting the most out of the battleground. So Alterac Valley is almost raid-like as a battleground. I remember it for fantastic pitched battles with various objectives, lots of quests available and lots of ways to contribute. The rewards are great too, with the battleground fantastic for farming honour points, but also top quality epic rewards for Exalted, which are often best in slot items. So the footage I've included is an 8-minute match, which seems to be about the norm at the moment. In some matches, if the opposing team wants to extend the match, I see more of an effort to intercept around the middle, but at the moment it seems that both teams want to focus on ending matches as quickly as possible to optimise the honour and reputation income. The queues have been pretty much instant as well, which is also helpful. The chat can sometimes be a little unhelpful. People are in the battlegrounds for different reasons and give others a hard time if they're not there for the same purpose. But some things that are useful to identify are key objectives, and often this might just be to rush the final boss, and who the tanks are in the group. I usually have a quick look through the battleground list too, just in case there are people who I remember playing with before who I know are good to team with. I found it quite tough as a healer with the slow mounts. Just before this video I actually farmed the gold to get the 100% mount once I'm exalted from Stormpike. But having the epic mount looks like it really helps with the rush strategy, and I find it's more likely that it's the healers who the team are waiting out on at the boss. Doing a quick map check as you travel through, particularly noting teammate locations, is helpful too. Sometimes the team will stop off to kill mini-bosses on the way, and especially as a healer, it's sometimes necessary to stop to prevent players from going all the way back if they die. It's a tough call, especially as it means that you're not going to be there to support players at the end of the battleground. I had a tough call to make in this specific playthrough where I had to abandon somebody and keep moving in order to support the team pushing for the win. So, sorry to use Sanctified, but it was for the win. I know a lot of people are unhappy with the stake of Alterac Valley at the moment, largely people who wanted to see matches last for much longer. Much of the PvP content has disappeared as the teams rush to the finish. I guess that depends on what you're looking to achieve from the battlegrounds. For me, back in 2005, Alterac Valley was always about grinding honour and reputation, rather than about pure PvP, where Arathi Basin and Warsong Gulch offered much more intense fights. I suppose the real challenge at the moment is that many of the hardcore PvP groups measure their success by ranking up, and unfortunately the way that Alterac Valley works at the moment means that it is the place to be to get honour points, but doesn't offer the best PvP content versus other battlegrounds. I can sympathise with that. Equally, I much prefer Alterac Valley type of experience personally, as it's less reliant on creating or not going up against a pre-made group and recognises more the time invested. But overall, time will tell. I think the first week of release is always a little unusual. Launch was very busy in week 1. Phase 2 was also a little manic, with huge, great big fights happening on Hillsbrad on many servers, including mine. Interestingly, I think that Alterac Valley brings a lot of new players to PvP type content. When I look at the list of players in the battleground, there are many who are lower ranked, possibly looking for the reputation for the nice rewards. But to me that's a positive, as it widens participation in PvP. As far as my advice for Alterac Valley, it depends on what you're in it for. If it's all about min-maxing honour or reputation, go for the fast win, run straight for the boss, maybe capping the graveyard at the aid station as a backup, and knock it out straight away. Kite the mini-bosses out of the room, take them out, before taking the boss out within the final room. Quick, easy win, on to the next one. If it's more about extending the fights and experiencing PvP content, you may need to force it. Grab a group of people to disrupt the flow of the enemy team through the middle of the map. Using routes, slows or other crowd control to enough players on the journey can cause real challenges to the enemy team. Interestingly, from time to time I see the enemy trying to disrupt the fight at the boss location, I rarely see this work, as usually by the time the team are fighting the boss, they have the numbers to just carry through. I definitely suggest interfering with the long run to the boss, as the way there is far more perilous and it's easier to effectively hinder the opposing team. All in all, it'll be interesting for me to see what impact Alterac Valley has on the rank brackets for the first couple of weeks of Battlegrounds, particularly how it compares to Warsong Gulch pre-mades. At the moment, I suspect the leaders are those who grind Alterac Valley rather than Warsong. I'll also be interested in how many hours of grind will be necessary to reach each rank during the first few weeks. I think this could really pressurise brackets and have a lot more competition in ranking up. And that wraps up this video on Alterac Valley. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe to be notified of future content. How do you feel about the state of Alterac Valley? How does it compare to what you expected or previous experiences? Or what suggestions do you have for other players? Please share in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll hear me on the next video.